Tonight is the annual gala for Sutton Innovations, a celebration of the company landing a multi-billion-dollar defense contract. As the chief engineer and the son-in-law of the chairman, Robert Sutton, I should have been the man of the hour. Instead, I'm standing in the shadows like a clown, watching my wife, Claire, walk to the center of the stage, her arm linked intimately with another man's. That man is Ethan Cole, Claire's ex-boyfriend from college, and a man I once called my friend. The custom-tailored suit I'm wearing was picked out by Claire herself this morning. "Leo," she'd said, "you're the hero of the night. You have to look the part." Now I see that looking the part was just to make my fall from grace that much more spectacular. Claire's voice, crisp and clear through the microphone, fills every corner of the grand ballroom. "I'd like to introduce everyone to our new chief engineer, Ethan Cole. Ethan is a top graduate from Harvard and an old, dear friend of mine." She pauses, her eyes scanning the crowd before finally landing on me. The warmth I once knew is gone, replaced by an icy appraisal and a flicker of disgust I couldn't mistake. As for Leo Vance, her crimson lips part to deliver the killing blow. "This company has carried dead weight for long enough. We need people with a world-class pedigree." Effective immediately, Mr. Vance will no longer hold any position at Sutton Innovations. As if on cue, a document appears in her hand. My termination notice, signed by her. The head of HR, eager to please, scurries onto the stage. He takes the single sheet of paper from Claire's hand as if it were a 1,000-pound weight and walks toward me, one slow step at a time. The ballroom falls silent. Every eye in the room is fixed on me. I can feel their pity, their smug satisfaction, their contempt, their sheer excitement for the drama. I can hear their hushed whispers. "I always said he was just a freeloader. Without the Sutton family, he's nothing." "Yeah, but I heard he was the one who single-handedly landed that defense contract." This is cold, even for them. What do you know? Ethan Cole is Harvard alumni. He and Claire are the real power couple. Leo was just a stepping stone. Dead weight? I almost laughed. For 3 years, as the son-in-law who married into the business, I've lived like a dog. Robert Sutton, my father-in-law, looked down on me, thinking I was unworthy of his precious daughter. My mother-in-law found fault in everything I did, even nagging me for taking a second helping of steak at dinner. At the office, I was the guy who'd married his meal ticket. No one, except Claire, ever showed me a shred of genuine respect. And I endured it all. For the woman I loved, for the vows we made, I swallowed every last bit of humiliation. I locked myself in the lab, working day and night, pouring every ounce of knowledge and creativity I had from my time at MIT into Sutton Innovations. I hold 126 personal patents. I signed over the usage rights to Sutton's products for free, transforming a nearly bankrupt family workshop into a rising star in the industry. This latest Department of Defense audit was my all-or-nothing bet. To secure that multi-billion-dollar defense contract, I lived at the factory for 3 straight months. I personally oversaw every technical detail, optimized hundreds of production protocols, and wrote the 5,000-page technical proposal myself. In the end, Sutton Innovations crushed the competition with undeniable technological superiority. Everyone thought the company was about to hit the stratosphere. I thought I could finally stand tall and silence everyone who ever looked down on me. But I never imagined that the person to stab me in the back would be my own wife, the woman I loved and trusted above all else. She used the empire I built for her as a signing bonus to welcome back her ex. And me, the architect of it all, I became dead weight that needed to be cut. What a joke. The HR manager is standing in front of me now. He can't meet my eyes. His head is bowed, his voice trembling. "Leo, Mr. Vance, this is Miss Sutton's decision." I don't take the paper. My gaze goes past him, locking onto Claire on the stage. She's still holding on to Ethan, a polite, practiced smile on her face, as if she were looking at a complete stranger. Ethan, meanwhile, is basking in the glory. He meets my stare, the corner of his mouth twisting into a provocative smirk, his eyes gloating with a victor's pride. Suddenly, I feel a strange sense of calm. I suppose this is what they mean by the death of a heart. 3 years of devotion, all for nothing. I walk slowly onto the stage, past the bewildered HR manager, and straight toward Claire and Ethan. The entire ballroom holds its breath, expecting me to make a scene, to fight for my wife or throw a pathetic tantrum. Claire's brow furrows, a flash of annoyance and caution in her eyes. Leo, don't embarrass yourself. Just leave with a little dignity, she whispers, but her words are like daggers. I ignore her and step up to the microphone. I clear my throat, looking out at the sea of faces, and begin to speak, my voice steady. First, I'd like to congratulate Miss Sutton on, well, not quite landing a new man, but on welcoming back an old one, and getting a multi-billion-dollar contract in the bargain. Claire's face instantly darkens. Ethan steps forward, trying to grab the microphone. Leo, you've had too much to drink. Get off the stage. I sidestep him neatly, his hand grasping at empty air. Not so fast, Mr. Cole, I say, smiling at him. I'm not finished. I just wanted to offer a friendly reminder to Ms. Sutton and to all my former colleagues here at Sutton Innovations. My voice booms through the sound system, powerful and unwavering. The core technologies underpinning that multi-billion-dollar defense contract, including the dynamic stress analysis for composite materials, the adaptive gyroscopic calibration algorithms, and the terminal guidance infrared AI recognition system, all 126 patents, are registered in my name. I never transferred ownership of these patents to Sutton Innovations. We had a simple licensing agreement that allowed the company to use them, free of charge. I pause, fixing my gaze on Claire's face, which has turned bone white. In that licensing agreement, as of the moment Ms. Sutton's termination notice became effective, is now null and void. In other words, from this moment forward, every single component Sutton Innovations manufactures using my patented technology constitutes patent infringement. I wish you all the best of luck. With that, I gently place the microphone back on its stand, turn my back on them, and walk off the stage through the stunned silence. As I pass Claire, I can hear her sharp, ragged breaths. She reaches out to grab me, but a single cold look from me makes her recoil. Leo, her shriek, laced with panic and fury, echoes behind me. I don't look back. The moment I step out of the ballroom, I pull out my phone and dial a number I've had saved for a long time. The call is answered almost instantly. Mr. Vance, have you given our offer any more thought? The voice on the other end is a woman's, poised and professional. It's Ava Chun, the CEO of Apex Dynamics, Sutton Innovations' biggest competitor. She's called me at least 10 times in the past year, each offer more lucrative than the last. I turned them all down, telling her I was committed to my family. Ms. Chun, I say, taking a deep breath of the cold night air as I look out at the glittering cityscape. Is that offer still on the table? Ava is silent for a beat, then lets out a short, triumphant laugh. Of course. The position of Chief Technology Officer, 5% of the company's founding shares, and a dedicated state-of-the-art research lab with an unlimited budget. The seat has always been reserved for you, Leo. Done, I say without a moment's hesitation. And I'm bringing my patents with me. Leo, you're insane. I've just hung up when Claire comes running out after me. The hem of her beautiful evening gown is tangled in the wind, and her face, stripped of its earlier composure, is a mask of panic and disbelief. You can't do this. Those patents were developed for Sutton. You can't take them with you, she yells, lunging for my phone. I sidestep her easily, my expression frigid. Let's get a few things straight, Claire. First, the patents are in my name. I decide where they go. Second, you're the one who fired me. We're even. Claire lets out a hysterical laugh, her eyes red with fury. You lived in my house. You ate my family's food. Everything you have for the past 3 years, I gave to you. And now you have the nerve to bite the hand that feeds you. I live in your house. Ate your food. Her attempt to twist the narrative is so absurd I have to laugh. Claire, search your conscience. How much value did I create for Sutton Innovations? How much money did I transfer to that supplementary credit card I gave you? The guest room I slept in is smaller than the maid's quarters. You call that living in your house. I gave you everything, and in return, you call me dead weight. My questions leave her speechless, her face flashing between pale and flushed. Just then, Ethan runs out and positions himself protectively in front of Claire. Leo, let's all just calm down and talk about this. I know you're upset, but you can't jeopardize the company's future out of spite, he says, trying to sound reasonable. The company's future? I glance at him, My face a mask of contempt. With you? A theorist who spent a few years at Harvard and has never even held a wrench? You have the audacity to talk about the future. You. Ethan's face turns crimson. Me what? I take a step toward him, staring him down. Let me tell you something, Ethan. Those 100-plus patents are all interconnected. They form a complete technological fortress. Forget you. Even if you flew in your old professors from Harvard, without my authorization and source code, you wouldn't even be able to figure out the material composition for the first component. The Department of Defense Oversight Committee will be on site in 3 days. I can't wait to see how the new chief engineer explains to them why you can't manufacture a single basic part. Done with them, I turn and walk toward the parking garage. Leo, stop. Claire screams behind me, her voice cracking. You walk out that door, and you are never, ever coming back. To I don't break stride. Back at the house, our supposed home, it takes me all of 10 minutes to pack. There isn't much to pack, really. A few changes of clothes, my hard drives filled with technical data, and stacks of design schematics. There's barely a trace of me in this house. I drag my suitcase out of the bedroom. Claire's already back. She, Ethan, and her father, Robert Sutton, are sitting on the living room sofa. It feels like an interrogation. Robert Sutton, chairman of Sutton Innovations, a man in his late 50s with shrewd, calculating eyes. He's always despised me, his penniless son-in-law, and right now his face is practically purple with rage. Leo, are you done with this tantrum? He slams his coffee mug down on the table with a loud crack. Leave your things and go back to the office. We'll pretend tonight never happened, he says, his tone dripping with condescension. I'll even apologize to you in public and reinstate you. I have to laugh. Mr. Sutton, I think you have it backwards. I'm not the one begging here. You are. You, he sputters, his mustache trembling with rage. Dad, don't waste your breath on him. Claire stands up. She's changed out of her gown into a sweatsuit, but her eyes are colder than ever. Leo, I'm asking you one last time. Are you giving us the patents or not? No, I answer point blank. Fine, just fine, Claire sneers. You think Sutton Innovations will die without you? Ethan is 100 times more capable than you are. We'll solve the technical problems in no time. Is that so? I glance at Ethan, who has remained silent, a sickly pallor on his face. Mr. Cole, why don't you tell me right now, for the third stage of heat treatment on the K-17 composite material, what is the peak temperature on the curve? Ethan's lips move, but no sound comes out. It was a process I invented. No one else knows the specifics. Cat got your tongue? I scoff. That multi-billion-dollar contract carries a penalty for breach that's enough to bankrupt Sutton Innovations twice over. Good luck with that, Claire. I grab my suitcase and head for the door. Leo, Claire's voice, trembling with desperation, calls out behind me. Are you really going to be this cruel? Do our 3 years of marriage mean nothing to you? Marriage? I stop, but I don't turn around. To me, it was once priceless. But to you, it wasn't even worth as much as a chief engineer position. The moment you chose him and publicly humiliated me, it became worthless. I open the door and walk out, not looking back. Behind me, I hear the sharp shatter of porcelain, followed by Claire's hysterical sobs. I feel nothing. She was the one who shattered everything between us. The next morning, I arrive at the headquarters of Apex Dynamics. Ava Chun is waiting for me in the lobby. She's dressed in a sharp, white pantsuit, her long hair tied back in a ponytail, exuding an air of confident energy. Welcome to Apex, Leo. She extends a hand, her smile filled with genuine appreciation. I believe the title is CTO now, Ms. Chun. I reply, shaking her hand with a small smile of my own. My mistake. Mr. CTO, right this way. Ava gives me a tour of the company, ending at a massive corner office with floor-to-ceiling glass walls. This will be your office, she says. Next door is the lab I had prepared for you. All the equipment is top of the line. If you need anything else, just say the word. I look out at the sweeping view of the river, then back at the office, which is at least 10 times the size of my old one at Sutton. A wave of conflicting emotions washes over me. Ms. Chun, aren't you worried I'll just take your investment and run? I ask. I don't trust blindly, but I trust your work, Ava says, her eyes bright. A man who can single-handedly turn a family workshop into a company that could compete with Apex in just 3 years. I trust my judgment. Besides, she adds, a playful smile on her lips, anyone who can make Claire Sutton that furious must be someone extraordinary. So, she'd already heard about what happened to the gala. She's going to come begging, Ava says with certainty. I know. And what are you going to do? That depends on the offer, I say coolly. My phone hasn't stopped buzzing since last night. Claire, Robert Sutton, even my social climbing mother-in-law have been calling and texting relentlessly. I've ignored them all. I know they haven't hit rock bottom yet. They're still clinging to the hope that Ethan, their Harvard genius, can pull off a miracle. I'm going to wait. I'll wait until every last one of their illusions is shattered, until they finally understand that without me, they are nothing. Sure enough, 2 days later, the Apex Dynamics legal team receives a cease and desist letter from Sutton Innovations, accusing me of stealing trade secrets. It's laughable. Ava tosses the letter onto my desk, an amused smirk on her face. Is Claire insane? She's accusing you of stealing your own patents. She's desperate. I reply, not even bothering to look at it. Our lawyers will handle it, Ava says, sitting on the sofa across from me. On another note, the Department of Defense Oversight Committee started their on-site inspection at Sutton today. This should be interesting. I nod, opening my laptop and pulling up a live feed from the security cameras at the Sutton factory. It was a system I installed for remote management. Now it's coming in handy for a different reason. On the screen, several uniformed, stern-faced officials from the DoD are touring the production line, accompanied by Ethan and Robert Sutton. The assembly line is completely idle. One of the officials points to a CNC machine and asks Ethan a question. Beads of sweat are visible on Ethan's forehead as he stammers out an explanation. The official is clearly unimpressed. He shakes his head and walks away. Robert Sutton's face is beyond grim. It's ashen. Claire trails behind them, bowing and apologizing profusely, but the officials don't even give her a second glance. Looks like Mr. Cole's bluff has been called, I say, closing the laptop, a deep sense of satisfaction washing over me. The DoD gave them 3 days. Ava says her intel always impeccable. If they can't deliver the first batch of samples by the deadline, the contract is terminated and the multi-billion-dollar penalty clause is triggered. On top of that, because it's a defense project, they could be charged with contract fraud. That means jail time. I pick up my coffee and take a slow sip. The show is just getting started. 3 that night, I get a call from Claire. Her voice is no longer arrogant and demanding, but weary and hoarse. Leo, we need to talk. There's nothing to talk about. I'm begging you. Her voice cracks. Where are you? I'll come to you. Where I am is none of your business, Miss Sutton. I reply coldly. Leo. She raises her voice, on the verge of losing her temper, but then quickly softens it. Please, for the sake of our marriage. Marriage? I laugh. Didn't you already give my spot to Ethan? There's silence on the other end. After a long moment, she speaks, her voice barely a whisper. You're getting revenge on me, aren't you? I'm just taking back what's mine. What will it take for you to give the patents back to Sutton? She finally asks, getting to the point. I pause, a wild and audacious idea forming in my mind. If you want me to save Sutton Innovations, there's a way, I say slowly. I believe you know how much I've always admired the presidential suite at the Meridian Grand. Her breath hitches. The Meridian Grand is the most exclusive hotel in the city, and its presidential suite is the ultimate status symbol. For our 3rd wedding anniversary, I had wanted to book it to surprise her. But Claire had shot me down. Leo, don't waste money on pointless gestures like that. If you have that kind of cash, just buy me a new handbag. I never brought it up again. Until now. The implication is crystal clear. Leo, you're disgusting. Claire's voice is shaking with rage and humiliation. Compared to the dignity you afforded me at the gala, I think my request is rather gentlemanly, I say with a soft chuckle. You have 1 night to think about it. If I don't see a sign of your sincerity by tomorrow morning, then I'll see you in court. I hang up and immediately block her number. I know she'll come. For her family, for her pride, she has no other choice. 4. The next evening, I arrive early at the presidential suite of the Meridian Grand. Beyond the massive panoramic windows, the city's skyline glitters like a carpet of diamonds. I pour myself a glass of whiskey and sit on the couch to wait. At 10 o'clock sharp, the doorbell rings. I look through the peephole. It's Claire. She's wearing flawless makeup and a black, floor-length silk dress that clings to her curves. She's clutching her designer handbag so tightly her knuckles are white. Her face is a battleground of emotions, conflict, humiliation, and a strange, faint glimmer of anticipation. I open the door and say nothing, simply stepping aside to let her in. She walks past me, her heels sinking silently into the plush carpet. The room is dimly lit by a single floor lamp, casting the space in a soft, intimate glow. She stands awkwardly in the foyer, avoiding my gaze. "Can I get you a drink?" I ask, breaking the silence. "No, thank you," she murmurs. I walk over to her, reach out, and gently lift her chin, forcing her to look at me. Her eyes are beautiful, like deep pools of water, but tonight they're clouded with a misty haze. Her long lashes tremble like a butterfly's wings. "Have you made up your mind?" I ask. She doesn't answer. Instead, she closes her eyes as if surrendering to her fate. I smile. So this is her sincerity? Trading the body she holds in such high regard for the business she values above all else. How ironic. I lean in, my lips close to her ear. "You know, Claire," I whisper, "seeing you like this, it's really quite cheap." Her body goes rigid. Her eyes fly open, staring at me in disbelief. "You? Did you really think I asked you here to relive our glory days?" I let her go and take a step back, putting distance between us. My eyes are filled with mockery and disdain. "I just wanted you to feel, for once in your life, what it's like to be used as a tool and then thrown away. You love being on top of the world, don't you, Claire? You think everyone should just bow down to you. But look at you now, selling yourself like a piece of merchandise to save your family, your company. How does it feel, Miss Sutton?" The color drains from Claire's face, leaving it a ghastly white. She stumbles backward, catching herself against the wall to keep from falling. "Leo, you were just playing with me." Her voice is a broken whisper. "Playing with you?" I pick up my glass, swirling the amber liquid. "You played me first. You turned 3 years of my love and hard work into a public spectacle. I'm just returning the favor. You want to save Sutton Innovations?" I walk toward her and, in one smooth motion, pour the entire glass of whiskey over her head. The cold liquid streams through her hair, smearing her perfect makeup and soaking the front of her expensive dress. She freezes, all the fight draining out of her. "Go on. Go ask Ethan for help now." I whisper, my voice a demonic murmur for her ears only. "Go beg your Harvard genius to work his magic and save your precious family. Let's see if he's the hero you think he is, or just a useless fraud who's good with theories and nothing else." "No, please." Claire finally breaks, grabbing my arm. Tears mix with the whiskey, streaking down her face in a pathetic mess. "Leo, I was wrong. I was so wrong. Please help me. Help the family." Too late. I pry her fingers off my arm and push her to the floor. "It was too late the moment you chose him." I look down at her, my expression devoid of pity. "Get out, before I change my mind and call security." Claire lies in a heap on the floor, drenched and defeated, like a stray dog caught in a storm. She looks up at me, her eyes burning with a venomous hatred. "Leo, you will regret this. I swear, I will make you regret this." I don't bother responding. I turn and walk back to the window to admire the view. I hear her scrambling to her feet, stumbling out of the room, and then the sound of the door slamming shut. The smile on my face grows colder. Regret? The only one who should feel regret is her. Claire's humiliating departure did nothing to solve Sutton Innovations' crisis. The next day, the company's stock flatlined the second the market opened. Rumors flew across Wall Street that Sutton's defense contract was based on fraudulent technology and that the company was facing catastrophic penalties. Robert Sutton was in a panic, calling in every favor he had to get a meeting with the DoD, but every door was slammed in his face. Ethan, meanwhile, had simply vanished. He stopped coming into the office, claiming he was working around the clock to crack the technical challenges. Only Claire was left, fighting a losing battle. She started frantically calling headhunters, trying to poach engineers from other major tech firms to build a new team. But no one was stupid enough to bite. My technological fortress wasn't something you could breach by hiring a couple of engineers. It was a complete, integrated system, Without the keystone, the whole thing was useless. Every top-tier engineer she contacted politely declined after learning the details. On the final day of the DoD's 3-day deadline, Sutton Innovations hit a dead end. Meanwhile, Apex Dynamics held a major press conference. Ava Chun stood at the podium, bathed in the flashing lights of cameras, looking every bit the confident, visionary leader. Today, I am thrilled to announce that Apex Dynamics has appointed Mr. Leo Vance as our new Chief Technology Officer, she declared. Furthermore, Apex has entered into an exclusive patent licensing agreement with Mr. Vance. We will be leveraging his portfolio of over 100 core patents to launch a new initiative, codenamed Project Celestial. Project Celestial will be dedicated to developing the next generation of intelligent industrial systems, with technical standards that will far surpass anything currently on the market, both domestically and internationally. Ava's words were a bombshell that rocked the entire industry. Everyone understood what this meant. Apex wasn't just planning to replace Sutton. They were aiming for total market domination. During the Q&A, a reporter asked a pointed question. Ms. Chun, we all know Mr. Vance's patents were previously licensed to Sutton Innovations. Given that Sutton is now facing a massive contractual crisis because of this, isn't Apex taking advantage of their misfortune by hiring Mr. Vance at this specific time? It was a sharp question. Ava just smiled and handed the microphone to me. We had planned for this. I walked to the podium and faced the wall of cameras, my voice calm and steady. First, there was no hiring away. It was Ms. Claire Sutton, General Manager of Sutton Innovations, who personally signed my termination notice and kicked me out of the company. Second, regarding the patents, my agreement with Sutton was clear. The license was contingent on my employment. Once that relationship was terminated, the license was automatically voided. That is basic contract law and business ethics. As for Sutton's current crisis, that is the result of a catastrophic failure in management's decision-making, and it has nothing to do with me. They chose a world-class talent to lead them. They should have trusted in his ability to deliver. My words were ironclad, logical, and dripping with sarcasm. After the press conference, I received a text from an unknown number. You win, Leo. You're ruthless. It was Claire. I smiled and deleted the message. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The final reckoning was just beginning. The end for Sutton Innovations came faster than I expected. The Department of Defense officially terminated the multi-billion-dollar contract and filed a lawsuit seeking over $12 billion in damages and penalties. Simultaneously, the IRS and the SEC launched a joint investigation into the company. It didn't take them long to uncover a hornet's nest of tax evasion, financial fraud, and cooked books. Robert Sutton's hair turned white overnight. The company's accounts were frozen, the factory shut down, employees demanded back pay, and suppliers lined up to collect their debts. The once proud Sutton Innovations crumbled. And then came the final, fatal blow. Ethan Cole had disappeared. Or rather, he had skipped town with all the company's remaining cash. It turned out that in a last-ditch effort, Claire and her father had liquidated all their remaining assets and taken out high-interest loans, amassing nearly $50 million. They gave it all to Ethan to purchase a supposed alternative technology from an overseas contact. Instead, Ethan took the money and vanished without a trace. Claire finally found me in the underground parking garage of the Apex building, blocking my car. She looked like a ghost. She had lost so much weight, she was practically skeletal. She wore no makeup, her skin was sallow, and her eyes were webbed with red veins. The glamorous, powerful woman was gone. Leo, help me. No, help my family, she pleaded. Ethan, he took all the money and ran. Her voice trembled uncontrollably. The banks are calling their loans, and my father. They're going to arrest him. I sat in my car and rolled down the window, looking at her with a blank expression. And, lend me some money, please. Just $5 million, no 3. Just enough to hold off the banks. She begged. I swear, once the company is back on its feet, I'll pay you back double. Claire, have you forgotten that your company owes my company $12 billion in damages? I reminded her. She froze, the last bit of color draining from her face. It was true. $3 million was a drop in an ocean of debt. What am I going to do? What do I do? She sank to the ground, clutching her head and sobbing in despair. Looking at her, I felt nothing. She had made her bed. I started the engine, ready to leave. Wait. She shot up and threw herself in front of my car, arms spread wide. You hate me, right, Leo? You want revenge? She screamed, her eyes wild like a cornered animal's. If you save my family, I'll do anything. Anything you want. I'll go back to the hotel with you. I'll do whatever you want. I'll even divorce Ethan and marry you. I'll be your slave for the rest of my life. I looked at her, and a sad, pathetic kind of humor washed over me. Even now, she still believed her body and the promise of marriage were her most valuable assets. Claire, I looked at her twisted, desperate face. You really overestimate yourself. Your body. I grew tired of it a long time ago. Your hand in marriage. To me, that's a liability I'd run from. And as for being a slave, I'm sorry, Apex Dynamics isn't hiring maids. Without another word, I cranked the wheel, maneuvered around her, and sped out of the garage. In my rearview mirror, her figure shrank, finally collapsing into a small, dark shape on the concrete floor. A few days later, Robert Sutton was formally arrested on multiple charges, including contract fraud, tax evasion, and embezzlement. Sutton Innovations declared bankruptcy. While liquidating the company's assets, the court-appointed receivers discovered a shocking truth. The $50 million Ethan Cole had supposedly run off with was never wired overseas. It had been funneled through a series of shell corporations into a domestic private account, an account in Claire Sutton's name. It was all a scam. Ethan never intended to flee. He and Claire had planned it together from the start. They were going to let the company go under, taking her father with it, and use the money to start a new life once the dust settled. They just underestimated law enforcement. The day before Claire was scheduled to move the money, the FBI raided her home and arrested her and Ethan, who had been hiding there all along. They were caught red-handed. I saw the news on TV. The footage showed Claire and Ethan in handcuffs, being escorted to a police car. When she saw the camera, her dead-eyed expression erupted into a mask of pure hatred. She struggled against the officers, screaming my name over and over. Leo, I'll get you for this if it's the last thing I do. I'll haunt you from my grave. I turned off the television and picked up the cup of tea Ava had made for me. The aroma was fragrant. Outside, the sun was shining. Months later, the verdict came in. Robert Sutton was found guilty on all counts and sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. Claire Sutton and Ethan Cole, as the masterminds of the fraud, each received a sentence of 15 years. The Sutton dynasty was over. Under my leadership at Apex Dynamics, Project Celestial was a resounding success. We developed a new generation of intelligent industrial robotics that was at least 5 years ahead of any competitor in the world. The Department of Defense was ecstatic. They not only transferred the original multi-billion-dollar contract to us, but also signed a $50 billion long-term partnership agreement. Apex Dynamics' market value soared past the $100 billion mark. I stood on the rooftop of the Apex Tower, looking out over the city I had fought so hard in. Ava came and stood beside me, handing me a glass of champagne. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "I was just thinking what might have been if Claire hadn't done what she did," I said. "There are no what-ifs," Ava said, touching her glass to mine. She chose her own ending. "What about you?" she asked, a soft smile playing on her lips. "The score is settled. What's next for you?" I turned and looked at her. In the sunlight, her profile was strong and beautiful, radiating confidence and intelligence. "Maybe it's time to start thinking about my personal life again," I said with a smile. Ava blinked, then a faint, lovely blush rose on her cheeks as she smiled back. "Well, the CTO of Apex is quite a catch. You shouldn't keep the market waiting." I reached out and took her hand. It was warm. I knew then that my new life, the one that was truly mine, was just beginning. Everything that came before was just smoke and ashes. The woman named Claire Sutton and the bitter marriage we shared would finally fade away, forgotten by time.